Thank you. Okay, great. Good evening. If you would stand with me for the invocation of Pledge of Allegiance. Rod?
Let's pray. Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. Thank you for the blessings you've given us, Father. We thank you for watching over us, Father. Just help us use wisdom and follow your footsteps, Lord. I pray that you will touch the first responders here in the city, Father, that you will give them safe travels, passages, and all that they do, Father. Those who are making decisions tonight, Lord, I pray that you bless them, watch over them, and everyone here, bless them, and to my prayer.
Amen. This evening we have Troop 74 with us. They volunteered to do the Pledge of Allegiance for us this evening. So whenever you're ready.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call to order this regular session of the Vienna City Council for March the 9th, 2023. Let the record reflect that I've taken roll, that all members are present with the exception of Councilman Mancuso, and he is out of town. Recorder Melissa Elam is on the phone, and so is Councilman Roger Bibby. Having a quorum, we will proceed. First item on our agenda this evening is our public forum. We have 5 people that have signed up to speak, and so we will start this evening with Brenda Powell.
Good evening. My name is Brenda Powell. I'm at 1409 31st Street. I just wanted to mention I'm with the second reading for the changing of the ordinance amending 505.06. I just wanted to say that I appreciate that this has come before council, and I'm sure others do also. And I would like to also say that it's not just about, it's not just about, having chickens as pets. That's not what this is about. It's about working towards being able to be self-sufficient and be able to have food. And I'd like to say that, for myself, I'll speak for myself only, is that I need to try to live a healthier lifestyle. It's very important to do that, and I'm sure there's others in the community think on the same line. Trying to get better food and better, way of life. And so the chickens will help immensely with that, towards that effort of getting away from additives and preservatives and trying to get back to basics as we once were years ago. So I'm asking that council consider this and pass it, and so that we can work towards living a better life. Thank you.
James DeMoss.
Hi, good evening. My name is James DeMoss, and I've lived in Vienna for 12 years after retiring from the military. And I wanted to thank you, Mayor, and members of our City Council for your commitment to our city. I appreciate the important decisions you're tasked with making, and I understand that change, any change, is sometimes difficult. But I wanted to speak to you tonight about the Vienna amendment that would permit chickens in our backyards. But first, I'd like to recognize my appreciation of how some council members took the time to listen to community input when this amendment was paused before the first reading, and for the various concerns that were addressed with the version you will be voting on. I'm not absolutely happy with the limit on chickens, but I hold hope that in the future you would be open to addressing a small increase to that limit once you have data to prove that there's been no negative aspect to allowing residents to raise chickens. As I mentioned, I completed 23 and a half years of service in the Air Force in 2005, and within months of retirement, the VA found out that I had pancreatic cancer. The process moved quickly, and on my birthday that year, I was in Seattle to remove the cancer. At the time, we were living in Idaho, and my doctors encouraged me to use my walker to walk around the neighborhood, but I wouldn't do that. I didn't want people to see me doing that. But I rehabilitated by using that walker in my backyard where, among other things, I was able to attend to our chickens. That same year, my children entered their chickens in the Idaho State Fair. And even though they were slightly disappointed with only walking away with a second place ribbon, for me, I was just proud of the responsibility they showed with preparing chickens for showing and how they continued that level of responsibility. Now, when you vote on this amendment, I want you to know how important your raised hand for a yes vote approving the passing of this amendment can be. Understanding that cities such as New York City, LA, Chicago, Philadelphia, Frisco, Atlanta, Miami, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and many, many others also allow backyard chickens because chickens are no longer limited to being a farm animal. I believe the attention required in raising chickens can teach children responsibilities, provide a welcome hobby for our seniors, and I personally know how raising chickens is effective as something to focus on that isn't labor-intensive while recuperating from surgery, so something maybe our disabled community can in some instances, possibly do. I mentioned the major U.S. cities that allow residents to raise chickens. So if anything, I would see your yes vote as a positive step in our city being a leader for other West Virginia cities to emulate. So I'm asking for you to please consider voting yes to allow backyard chickens in Vienna. Again, thank you all for your service to our city, and thank you for your time.
I apologize. I can't read the handwriting on this one. Is it David Muller or David Mullen? Okay.
Good evening. My name is David Muller, 806 48th Street. I'm actually here tonight to represent the Grand Central Avenue Church of Christ located at 5805 Grand Central Avenue regarding an upcoming ordinance to rezone property across the street. It's commercial. And I apologize that I don't have the ordinance number or the exact address. I actually thought it was going to be on tonight's agenda. I serve as the finance ministry leader for the church. I'm also a board member of Christian Youth in Action, which for 2 decades did business as Mid-Ohio Valley Work Camp. This council has been a great partner with Mid-Ohio Valley Work Camp, supporting us financially. And I also remember one year when the city was having a water crisis, the city donated enough bottled water for over 500 volunteers, and Mayor Rapp, you delivered that to us personally. Our church is the home church for several of the board members and senior staff members for Mid-Ohio Valley Work Camp, which has painted over 625 homes for free in the Mid-Ohio Valley. Our church is very community focused. In addition to MOV Work Camp, we have a Christmas store each year where we provide significantly discounted gifts to over 40 families, which helps around 160 kids each year. We also have multiple free clothing giveaways each year. Our last one just this past Saturday, where we served over 150 people in our community. Our church is very focused on children. We have a full-time children's minister and a full-time youth minister. In addition to holding Vacation Bible School, we have many community events to cater to children, such as Fall Fest, the Easter Egg Hunt, and we're actually the home of Mid-Ohio Valley Marbles Club. Our building is also the location of Vienna Christian Preschool. And safety of our children is of paramount importance to us. We have a child and youth protection team made up of parents and subject matter experts. We maintain a child and youth protection policy, and we background check everyone who volunteers or works with our children, including Bible school teachers and chaperones. I'm here tonight to express concern over the upcoming ordinance to rezone the property across the street. Commercially zoning this property could lead to the establishment of businesses that weaken our ability to protect our children. As we've seen over and over again in our community, it seems like the fastest growing businesses are vape shops and gambling kiosks. And while I understand the business trying to occupy and operate at this location is for a good cause, our concern is the permanency of zoning the property as commercial and what may one day replace that business. I'm here tonight to humbly ask for one of two outcomes. First, draft or amend the ordinance to prohibit the operation of any business in this location that requires patrons to be 18 years or older to enter or 21 years or older to purchase supplies or services from that business. If that restriction is unlawful or not permissible, we ask that the council oppose the ordinance. My telephone number is 304-281-3440, and I'm happy to speak with any member of council if they want to understand our concerns more deeply and before they decide whether or not to support the ordinance. Thank you for your time.
Melanie Lockhart.
Does this plug in to here?
Hey, Robbie, can you help this lady, please?
I'm not sure I have the right cord. I may have to get my HM cord. I think that's what I need. Do I plug it in there?
Melanie, are you prepared to do this without your laptop?
I can use my phone.
Okay, either one, but we need to move.
Just do this one. Is this
Not either. Never tried it.
Just put the elbow up and then she can put the phone under the elbow. It won't be perfect, but it'll be something.
You can see it without even trying to figure out what channel it's on.
I have to hold it up this way, I think. Okay.
No, you can zoom in on the left side of that little projector. Yeah, there's a gray knob. It zooms in and out.
Okay. That's good. So,
Try cable 1, Robbie. That's what Garrett told me.
What?
All right, Melanie, we're going to have to go ahead.
okay. My name is Melanie Lockhart, and I live at 307 41st Street in Vienna, West Virginia. 3rd Street, this is March 7th, 2 days after taking Betsy through the alleyway. And you can see, here's where the alley is. And we're having an issue with this alley being closed. Can you hear that? You can see I am walking on gravel where originally I guess the alley was. And you can see the variance is not, it doesn't look like it's legit. But this is where those bushes were that hung clear over to here, as you can see in the dirt spot. And you can see where I guess the tracks are. I don't know if those are our tracks or his tracks, as opposed to it's going into his alleyway there. Or I'm sorry, his backyard. That's his fence. He opens it up this way, and it'll stop over here, right about here. So it'll come back to here. And that's how he gets out. But he's complaining and wanting to close it so that we can't get through back here, which it doesn't even interfere anybody, doesn't bother anyone except us. And I don't understand the issue, which I do understand because it's what's over here. And that's our rabbits and our babies. And he's trying to use his position inappropriately. All he has to do is take that pillar out, put the gate on the other side. He may have to change his unit. He can move it up here to the corner area so it would be out of the way. But no, instead, he would rather close the whole alley so he can gain more than what he really needs. Two days ago, we had to come and dispose of our waste on the rabbits, and Mr. Rat stated that we could not get through the alleyway. He wants to lock it at that end down there, and then we will not be able to access the other side of this if he does that. Because if we close the alley, it closes everything, and we will not have any access to come in the back way from the 309 address that we own to the 307 address at where our livestock is based on our farm permit that we have. He's complaining, Roo, get over here, you'll get in trouble. Hey, get over here, you'll get in trouble. No, get over here. Can't be over there, sorry, babe. That's 5 feet from his fence, and I will bring it down here so you can actually see. Just let me get a little clearer here. that way. I'll make this stick out a little further. We'll go 6 feet. Okay, so there's from his property line or fence line, whatever, I guess, over to the edge of the alley, based on what they say on the books or the record, that's 5 feet. Okay, so I have it at 6 feet. So you look up there, and there's our tracks from the goalie, and you'll see the pictures that we have taken when we come in the back way when he says there's no way. And then hopefully we'll have another. Let's see. So now we'll move this over here. There is that part of the fence, 5 feet, and that's actually 6 feet there. And you can see he says we cannot get through here, so he wants to close it so that we have no access. And from my understanding, he wants to gain the extra 5 feet, he thinks, from that property line to the middle of the alleyway and put a fence, so we would only have 5 feet coming out the back side of our house, is what he's kind of thinking. So it can be done, Mr. Rock, and I'm going to show you another little thing that we can get through there quite as well. And you can see where those bushes or the things that he had taken out right there, those are all bushes. They were completely hanging over. You can see where the dirt section is there. That's how far they were hanging over, and that was all the distance that we had to get through here with our truck. And of course my truck was always up against the bushes. I would have to put, of course, the mirror in, because if I didn't,
Mrs. Lockhart, I'm sorry, your time's up.
bushes would end it backwards from hitting it.
Thank you for your time.
Robert Lockhart.
Just in case you need to report. I'm gonna read through this fast, so if you would just follow along with me. Okay, my name's Robert Lockhart. I live at 307 41st Street in Vienna. My wife has just spoken. West Virginia Code, powers and duties of certain officers, the mayor. Powers and duties of the mayor. When not otherwise provided by our charter, he's in charge, he's executive officer of municipality, shall the powers and authorize granted in this section, and shall see that the ordinances, orders, bylaws, acts, resolutions, rules, and regulations of the governing body thereof are faithfully executed. At my property, I have a right to farm. No state or local government can bring criminal or civil action against an agricultural operation that meets state and federal laws. In essence, this means right to farm law supersedes local government. You'll turn to the third page, you'll see my farming permit. This is in the state, from the state of West Virginia, for the property located at 307 41st Street. It can never be removed. If I would move, that number stays with that property that I'm a farm. Okay? We'll go to Article 4 on the next page. I was issued a probation. And in that probation, it says the defendant agrees to continue to maintain the animals, rabbits. That's what she was referring to when she didn't get to it. And the conditions they are in as of the date of this agreement. Necessities is defined as life and existence. Definition is you provide them food, shelter, and other necessities of life. You're required to maintain these animals. So that didn't work out so well for the plaintiff. So I was willing to take the probation just to ease some people's concerns, knowing full well with the right to farm and my certificate that there's nothing that could be done. So we go on to the next. On February 27th, there was a meeting with the Planning Commission. I was notified at 2:20 that day of the meeting for the closing of the alley behind my house. State law requires that I be given a 15-day notification. All property owners, anybody that's abuts to that alley, the state requires you to notify them that you are having a meeting. And in that meeting, I've stipulated that it says in the state law that the use and rights of no person or persons of such road, street, or other travelway will be impaired or lost by the closing and vacation of. That violates my rights on this probation, because now I can't get back to my animals to service them. I clean out their natural organic fertilizer. I have to feed them. I have to provide equipment for them. So he's violating the probation that I've been being held to. Those with sense of entitlement will experience offenses much more emotionally than others and take them much more personally. As such, these individuals are more than likely to ruminate over the offense 5 months and ultimately seeking retaliation. Authoritarian personalities, people who place a high value on their status in a group, such as the executive officer, are predisposed to retaliation when offended, particularly if that offense is from someone of a subordinate nature or a statute. Unlawful retaliation. When a person or an institution, City of Vienna, takes an adverse action against an individual, either in response to the exercise of protected activity or try to deter them from doing it. Now, in that meeting that the Plan Commission had, the question was asked from one of the commissioners to the plaintiff and asked him, did you follow proper procedure when you did this? He deferred the question over to the code, and the answer was yes. That was a false answer. You didn't notify me. You didn't notify anyone. You just took it upon yourself to have this meeting to close the alley. That's malfeasance in office, not to mention the fact, by these illicit concerns, you're obtaining property from the municipality of the City of Vienna by illicit means. You told them that you had done what you were supposed to do, and as a representative of this, when you answer a question, we should think that it would be truthful. It was not. And I didn't know what these rules were because I wasn't getting sufficient time to come to the meeting and research this. That's malfeasance, which is a criminal offense. You're taking property away from me that I'm using to better my family. We raise rabbits in the City of Vienna. They're trying to get chickens. Is this what they're going to deal with when they get their chickens in their yard?
Mr. Lockhart, your time's up. Please finish. Help yourself.
All right. Mr. Lockhart, and I understand that you certainly are passionate about the issue. But as far as the Planning Commission and the proposal to close the alley, any citizen, the City of Vienna does not have a specific ordinance for dealing with closing alleys. The code that you've cited under 731 that deals with closing alleys, or I'm sorry, 713H, that's found in the chapter that sets out the powers for county commissions. County commissions are statutory bodies. Whenever you have to close a road, a county road, you have to go through the procedure. Municipalities are under Chapter 8 of the West Virginia Code. There are two ordinances that are at play, but primarily they fall under the general authority and the plenary power of municipalities. West Virginia Code 812.1 doesn't set out a procedure because there isn't one. What it does is it says that all municipalities have the authority to lay off, establish, construct, open, alter, curb, recurb, pave, or repave, and keep in good repair or vacate, discontinue, and close streets, avenues, roads, alleyways, sidewalks, drains, and gutters for the use of the public. There's no notice requirement in that, and I looked through our ordinances because I wanted to make sure that it was being dealt with in an appropriate way. And then Chapter 811.3 sets out the specific things that have to be done by ordinance. Generally, anything that involves the disposition of property, particularly real property, has to be done by ordinance. West Virginia Code 81137, which again, Chapter 8 is the code section that deals with powers of municipal corporations or cities. It specifically says that you have to have an ordinance. The governing body shall, except where otherwise provided in the code, be by ordinance, lay out or vacate a public street, avenue, alley, or roadway. So I think through an abundance of caution, code enforcement was trying to deal with it through the Planning Commission, and part of that is the Planning Commission has a certain amount of expertise, or that's the theory behind planning commissions, in areas, in subject matters like this. But the real, the actual transfer of the property would have to come before City Council, okay? Typically, whenever you dispose property under West Virginia statute, you have to, whenever a city sells or, excuse me, I've got something right. Whenever the city sells real property, it has to be done at auction. But the way I read 811.3 saying that you have you're vacating a street, you could, the law allows you to essentially give the adjoining property owners a quit claim deed to the property. Now, as far as notices and so forth, I think that a pragmatic solution or a pragmatic procedure is that all of the individuals that are given, that could either stand to gain or stand to lose by an alley being closed, be given some type of notice in writing. But we're not at the point where that happened. That was just an issue that we brought before the Planning Commission. And I'm not going to go into the other issues. I mean, you and I have had conversations about the rabbits and so forth, and I hope everything's going well. But as far as the property itself, that alley cannot be closed until council takes action. It's going to require 2 readings of council, and the mayor, because he would be one of the property owners that would stand to gain, wouldn't be able to participate as a voting, or wouldn't be able to participate in the vote, and wouldn't be able to participate in the discussion of doing that. Now, I think the mayor, and off the top of my head, I think the mayor would be able to come and speak as a citizen at a public forum. But as far as just as you have. But I think as far as council making the determination, the mayor's not going to be able to do that because he's asked to close the alley. And I think that also because you're the mayor or a council member or something, that doesn't mean you give up all of your other rights as a citizen of the city. But I just want to address your issue because I understand what you're looking at, but what I'm telling you is Chapter 7 is county commissions. That deals with county roads. Chapter 8 is municipalities. And I've looked at the code sections just to make sure, in part of my research, to make sure that the procedure is done as correctly as can be, or so that those are the statutes that actually are at play. And again, ultimately, council has to make the decision. But anyway.
No, you may not. Thank you. We will take that up when we come back before council, Bob. All right. The report of the minutes from the February the 23rd, 2023 have been corrected. Are there any other corrections to the minutes? If there are no objections to the minutes, will stand approved as posted. The minutes from the March 2nd, 2023 meeting have been printed, posted, and circulated. Are there any corrections to the minutes? The no objections in the minutes will stand approved as posted. Report of the treasurer, Councilman Leach.
Reconciliation funds for City of Vienna for March 3rd, 2023. I reviewed them. The accounts are in order and the city is financially sound.
Mayor, I had a question about that if I can, please.
Yes, ma'am.
I looked at it too. The capital reserves at $10,089,435. I don't think that's correct because we've had several budget revisions since then that have come out of capital reserves. Well, that's what I kind of thought too, except I looked in the short budget and it's in there in... Okay, so, but the problem with that is that when I look at this as the financial picture of the city, you know, we're $437,800 short in capital reserves. And so really, the capital reserves is $9,651,635.77. And I bring it up because we're talking about budget. We're going to be hopefully talking about the pool tonight and capital reserves. So I think as far as me as a council person, getting this reconciliation of funds, it says we have $10,089,000. You know, when we really have $9,651,000. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, my response would be as long as the general fund has enough money and cash flow to be able to cover that, you don't really need to move that money, because then you're just moving money back. But I do whatever counts.
Well, I understand what you're saying. I just want a correct picture of what our capital reserves are, and
I think that is where our capital reserve is today.
is it 10 million or?
Our capital reserve is $10 million today.
Okay.
Yeah, this reconciliation funds is, as of March 3rd, in terms of, again, our accounts are accurate. You've just been given an explanation. You can always point to something, well, this could be interpreted like this.
Well,
And so,
But that is the reason why it's done that way, and that is the balance of that account.
okay. So my question for you, Amy, is like, the first budget revision we did, $285,500 for Omni, that's gone into the 542.58, and it's been paid to Omni. So that's what I'm saying. Well, okay. It's been encumbered, correct. So that's why, I'm just trying to get a complete picture, because it's impossible to figure that out when it's not showing this way.
If you want to take the capital reserve account to zero and draw all the money out of the bank, would we not have 10,089,000?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Leach?
no, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Moving on, the one item we have under unfinished business this evening is the ordinance on second reading amending 505.06, keeping livestock and adding regulations related to raising hens. It's an ordinance amending 505.06, keeping livestock and adding regulations related to raising hens on R1, R2, and R3 single-family zoned residential property, as well as related structures, and the penalty for violating said regulations. We've been through this on first reading, so I'm not going to read it all again. But 505.06 deals with keeping livestock. I'll entertain a motion on second reading for the approval of the ordinance amending 505.06, keeping livestock.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we, on second reading, approve the ordinance amending 505.06. Councilman Bibby, can you hear me?
Yes.
Recorder Elam, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the ordinance on second reading. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. We will poll council for their vote on this. Mrs. Williams?
Ms. Williams, and yes.
Miss Williams. I didn't want to do it wrong, so I did.
That's my mother.
Yep, there you go.
Thank
Nice
you.
lady. I'm sorry. And your vote is, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Azinger?
No.
Mr. Leach?
Sure.
Yes. Okay. Recorder Elam?
Yes.
Councilman Bibby?
No.
And I also vote yes. So it passes 5-2, or 4-2. So that on second reading, the ordinance is passed. So we move to new business this evening, and we have a resolution approving the appointment of Melvin Turner to the Planning Commission. Mr. Turner is with us this evening. Melvin, if you'd just stand so everyone will know who you are. Melvin Turner, I sent you his application and all of his qualifications. He is more than qualified to be a member of the Planning Commission and brings lots of years of experience in various forms, having been a fireman for many, many years and a building contractor for many, many years. So the resolution approving the appointment of Melvin Turner to the Planning Commission, be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that Melvin Turner, qualified by knowledge and experience in matters pertaining to the development of the city, shall be appointed to serve the remainder of the term of the City of Vienna Planning Commission previously held by the late Craig Richards. The term will expire in February of 2024. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of Melvin Turner to the Vienna Planning Commission.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve Melvin Turner. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none then, Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Azinger,
Yes.
Mr. Leach,
Yes.
Recorder Elam,
Yes.
Councilman Bibby,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. So Melvin, thank you very much for your service. That's a unanimous decision that you come and be part of it. So thank you. Second item on our agenda this evening is a bid approval for the spring planting and fall cleanup. Councilman Leach.
Sealed bids for the flower planting and maintenance and fall cleanup of the various areas of the city were opened on February 28, 2023 at 10 a.m. with the following results. Scott Landscaping with a bid of $25,298. After careful review of the bid proposals, the recommendation for council approval from the Budget and Finance Committee for flower planting and maintenance and fall cleanup is Scott's Landscaping, again, $25,298. Funding for this project it will be from the city's general fund, line item 579-5541, pending council approval. And the amount of funding request will be for the entire project.
I'll entertain a motion for the bid from Scott's Landscaping in the amount of $25,298 for the spring planting and fall cleanup.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the bid approval from Scott's Landscaping for the spring planting and fall cleanup. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll poll the council. Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Azinger,
Yes.
Mr. Leach,
Yes.
Recorder Elam,
Yes.
Councilman Bibby,
Yes.
and I also vote yes, so it's unanimous. We accept that bid from Scott's Landscaping. Next item on our agenda this evening is the financing for two 2023 F-450 trucks for the Parks Department and the Street Department. Councilman Leach.
Sealed bids for the financing the two 2023 F-450 trucks for Street and Parks Department were opened on February 21st, 2023 at 10 a.m. with the following results. One bid, United Bank, 3 years, 4.80%. Total cost, $214,236.72. After careful review of the bid proposals, the recommendation for council approval from Budget and Finance for the financing of the two 2023 F-450 trucks is United Bank's at the 3-year 4.80, total $214,236.72. Funding for this project is budgeted in the city's general fund, account 540-4019 and 570-59.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the financing for two trucks from United Bank in the conditions of 3-year at 4.8% interest for a total cost of $214,236.72.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the bid for financing from United Bank. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor, Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Azinger,
Yes.
Mr. Leach,
Yes.
Recorder Elam,
Yes.
Councilman Bibby,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. It passes unanimously. The next item on our agenda this evening is a bid approval for the purchase of a Hino XL8 truck with the equipment. Councilman Leach.
Sealed bids for the purchase of the Hino XL8 truck and equipment were opened on February 13, 2023 at 9 a.m. with the following results. Matheny Motors, $160,893. After careful review of the bid proposals, the recommendation for council approval from the Budget and Finance Committee for the purchase of a Hino XL8 truck is Matheny Motors at $160,893. Funding for the project is pending financing. The payment for the truck is budgeted in accounts 570-59.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the sealed bid from Matheny Motors for a Hino XL8 truck and equipment.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the bid from Matheny Motors. Is there any further discussion?
Is the equipment related to plows and spreaders? What exactly is equipment?
Yeah, Roger, it's a plow, salt dispenser. And it'll be the 10-ton truck, the largest
Yes.
that they do
It
have,
is.
yes.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Azinger?
Yes.
Mr. Leach?
Yes.
Recorder Elam?
Yes.
Councilman Bibby?
Yes.
I also vote yes, so it passes unanimously. The next item on our agenda is internal budget revision number 3. Councilman Leach.
Internal budget revision number 3 regarding BRIA, transfer accounts 54103, salaries, move money to contribution for BRIA for the running of spring sports in the amount of $23,000. Budget before change, $85,860. Budget after change, $62,850.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of internal budget revision number 3.
So moved.
So moved.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of internal budget revision number 3, Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Azinger?
Yes.
Mr. Leach?
Yes.
Recorder Elam?
Yes.
Councilman Bibby?
Yes.
And I also vote yes, so it passes unanimously. The last item on our agenda this evening is the budget discussion for 23-24. You all should have received in your packets this evening a balanced budget based on the comments that were made from last council meeting. There are some notes here. Mrs. Roberts, do you want me to make those, or are you going to make those? If you want, well, you do however you're comfortable.
Okay, so the changes that occurred in the budgets from last meeting to this meeting were that last meeting I only had 35 cents built into the budget for a salary increase, which was longevity only. I went back through and put an additional 65 cents in for a pay increase for all full and part-time employees. It also includes an additional $25,000 in 41058 for Spencer's Landing Engineering Study. It includes $2,500 in 90559 for a new ice machine for the senior center that had been missed the first go around. It includes $25,000 in 70423 for a search for a development director / city planner. The city received an additional $120,844 in property taxes when we received our property tax numbers the 3rd of March. The library will receive an additional $24,309 of that per state law. The health insurance premiums for this year came in at a 0% increase, and so we were very fortunate.
All right. Those were the items that were brought to the attention last council meeting. Are there any other items that council wishes to put forth this evening for the amendments to the initial budget?
I will tell you that I do need to build in an additional $4,000 to the IT department because the pay increase was not reflected there.
Okay. All right.
A question about that. The $4,000 pay increase, is that?
Well, if you have 2 employees and $1 per person
okay,
at 2,080 hours. so,
Okay,
yeah.
so that just got missed as part.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
All right. So are there any other items that need to be included on this budget before we bring it back to council, next council meeting for the vote on the budget?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to make an amendment this evening, but I still want to discuss the pool, and I spoke briefly with the mayor earlier this week, and I think he has an update about that, about the funding of the pool. So, I mean, I need to hear what that is all about, but I think that we are not, I think the pool needs to be included in the budget. It's not. And the pool renovations are not included, and, we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna pay for the pool, so I don't understand why it's not in the budget. So I'm not prepared to make that amendment this evening.
All right.
Well, in response to that, I disagree with the position that Councilperson Williams is taking. We're getting ready to go out for bid, all right? If we put an amount in the budget that says what we're going to spend on this pool in advance of when these contractors bid on that, that is a disadvantage to us. We have had discussions already in council meeting about the distribution, whether it be by financing from capital reserve, an estimate of what we might be able to expect in grants. And that's sufficient to advise and put council on notice as to what to expect moving forward. But to put the cart before the horse and force numbers into a budget that has not been received and bids to be considered is, I don't think, the appropriate way to go forward.
Well, we've accepted a proposal of probable costs, and it can range anywhere as high as $6.2 million. So I don't think it's any big secret what the cost of the pool is going to be as far as when it goes out to bid. All that information is readily available. I don't understand the resistance, because I think we do have the cart before the horse, in the sense we're making, a decision to pay for a pool, but we don't know how we're going to pay for it. I mean, I don't even understand that. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever to me.
I simply disagree with the logic.
Well,
we know what it's going to take, right? Now I can speak now.
Well, I still have the floor as far as I know.
I thought you finished. Go ahead.
Well, I would really like to hear what the mayor has to say regarding how we're going to finance the pool, because I know in our discussion back in, I think it was December 8th, when we approved a resolution regarding the financing of the pool, that we talked about pulling as much as $4 million out of capital reserves. And so if we're going to finance $2 million, I don't understand why those payments cannot be figured into the budget. Like I said, contractors are very aware of what the probable costs of the pool are. So that argument doesn't make any sense to me.
Mr. Leach, I don't want to cut you off, but
I'm done.
okay, let me make a statement, Kim, and hopefully it'll clear things up for you. We had a meeting this week with one of the funding institutions that's interested in doing the project for us. It will require a bond, but the bond process will take almost exactly the same amount of time as conventional financing, like you would do for a home or for a vehicle. So the time frame is not going to be an issue. The advantage of going to a bond is you receive a 20% discount on the funding rate. And so it's to our advantage to go to the bonding process. And I agree with Mr. Leach about not tipping your hand, because this morning we had a bid opening on one of the large projects that we're going to do. Our engineers said the estimated cost was $517,000, and the bid came in at $319,000. And this is from a contractor that we have a good history with, that's done other projects for the city and done a really good job. So that project came in at almost $200,000 lower than what our engineers guessed it would be. And so that's the reason why I hesitate to put those numbers out there, because if I know that you're willing to pay $5 million, I'm going to sell it to you for $4,995,000. And so by holding those numbers, I think that we will get a better estimate of the actual cost to build this.
Well, I don't agree with that, but regardless, it's, I still don't understand why we can't put it together, at least have an idea. Are you saying that if I go by what was said in December, then we're saying you're going to take $2 million and go out for a bond for $2 million?
I'm not saying that at all.
That's the point.
That's the decision that you'll have to make as a sitting council person, is how comfortable you are of how much money you're willing to take out of the capital reserve and the other funds that we have to invest in a project that, the last time we did it was 1965. So it's a significant amount of money because it's a big project.
Absolutely. And I'm just trying to get my bearings, because when we spoke in December, and I went back and I read the meeting, the minutes of that meeting, so I understood. At that time, you suggested basically $4 million coming out of capital reserves and then filling in what was left through bank financing and grants, and maybe we'll get some grants, hopefully we will. So that's what I'm trying to understand.
Okay.
$2 million for a bond?
Well, I'm not suggesting anything. And so, the numbers that you're saying here, I've not formed an opinion of how much I'm willing to break down. All right. And we'll get those numbers when we get it. And then we'll make a decision as a body as how comfortable we are with the funding sources that we have. I just know that.
Randy.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. I just wanted to jump in. I wanted to make sure that you know I wanted to say something. I am not comfortable with moving money around until we know for sure how much it's going to be, and that will be determined when the bids actually come in. What we got was an opinion of probable cost, and like you said, sometimes the bids can come in under that, sometimes they'll come in over that, and depending on how tight our time frame is, we may be looking at a bid much larger that we're not ready to act on yet. So to me, it is way premature to move money around right now. When the time comes, it is a budget revision that we can do, and we can actually deal with exact numbers. We'll know exactly how much we want to put down the capital reserves. We'll know exactly how much we want to finance, and we'll know pretty much by that time what kind of outside funding we're looking at from foundations and donations and that kind of thing. So I'm very much in favor of holding off until we have exact numbers coming from the bid process.
We did discuss this with the financial institution, and they agreed there was no value whatsoever setting that money aside. Now, that's their opinion, okay? But there was no value to do that prematurely. So, that's what I'm basing my opinion on. Next week, you obviously can do whatever amendment you care to, but that's the background information I have. So, anyway, anything else? All right. So the budget will be back on. Amy, anything else for you before I move on to the next item?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So that concludes our agenda for this evening as far as agenda items. I have one thing. Mrs. Elam, she's speaking, but she sent a message that she'd like for me to read. And so I will read her message that she wanted you all to have. Omni, our engineering firm, has received 90% of Martin Aquatics' portion of the project. The depth of the equipment room will be too deep to put the originally planned double doors on the lower level, so they are designing a hoist system for maneuvering pumps, equipment, etc. They are waiting on right-of-way information from the Department of Highways, and the design team will meet again tomorrow with Omni to get further information as far as the alteration to the original building design of the equipment room. So, Melissa, I know you're still there. Is there any other comment?
No, thank you for sharing that. I wasn't sure time frame how I was going to be doing. I'm at the music festival right now at PHS, and I'm in here with about 5,000 of my closest friends, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, then, anyway, we'll get another report back after we get the numbers from Omni and have this discussion continuing. So thank you very much. And before I know you need to go because it starts in 2 minutes. Anything else for you this evening?
No, that's all. Thank you.
All right. Councilman Bibby, is there anything you'd like to share this evening?
Nothing, Mayor.
All right. Thank you. I have a couple things that I'd like to share with you all this evening. First off, it's Rod Smith's birthday today. Rod, thank you for praying with us this evening. Happy 64th birthday, you old man.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So anyway, this week we received some excellent news that I would like to share with the community and council. We applied for the governor's program for the bridge program, and we were successful in getting the 12th Street Bridge, the 17th Street Bridge, and the 27th Street Bridge all included in the funding for replacement. This is at no cost to the city of Vienna. All we have to do is we have to agree to reroute the traffic around while they're working on the bridges. And so I have seen the paperwork. It is officially listed in the 2023-2004 transportation program. And so based on what we spent to replace the 28th Street Bridge, that's approximately a $3 million savings for the city of Vienna. So I'm very happy about that. And I think that with the money that we've spent, because all three of those bridges have been in need of replacement, I think that we've saved $3 million, and we will move on to other projects. So congratulations to the city of Vienna. I guess that's it for announcements this evening. Any other council comments? All right. To the gentleman in the back that came from the church, I apologize that we did not have that item on our agenda this evening. We had every intention of doing it. We ran into a little bit of a problem, so it will be on the next council meeting that we have. All right? Okay, so nothing else? No further business? Meeting adjourned.